PWDA Strategic Plan 2022 to 2025, a publication from People with Disability Australia. This audio recording has been produced by Vision Australia on behalf of People with Disability Australia in the interests of information accessibility. Your narrator is Julie Horton. The recording lasts for approximately 15 minutes overall. Contents. This audio introduction. PWDA Strategic Plan 2022 to 2025. Strategic Pillars. 1. Represent. 2. Advocate. 3. Educate. 4. Sustain. Closing announcement. PWDA Strategic Plan 2022 to 2025. Vision. We have a vision of a socially just, accessible and inclusive community in which the human rights, belonging, contribution, potential and diversity of all people with disability are recognised, respected and celebrated with pride. Purpose. Our purpose is to be a leading disability rights, advocacy and representative organisation of and for all people with disability, which strives for the realisation of our vision of a socially just, accessible and inclusive community. Our profile. People with Disability Australia, PWDA, originated in New South Wales in the lead-up to the International Year of Disabled Persons in 1981. In 2014, we were formally recognised by the Australian Government as a National Disability Peak Representative Organisation. PWDA's values and guiding principles work within the framework of and seek to bring into reality the rights recognised in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Our work as a cross-disability organisation is underpinned by a large and growing membership of individuals and organisations committed to the disability rights movement. Strategic Pillars. Our objectives. Represent. Remain the leading national cross-disability member-driven organisation. Reflect the diversity of our community and represent their voice nationally and internationally. Advocate. Advocate for the human rights of all people with disability at individual and systemic levels. Educate. Drive positive change for people with disability through education and advocacy. Sustain. Maintain a financially viable and sustainable organisation. 1. Represent. Remain the leading national cross-disability member-driven organisation. Reflect the diversity of our community and represent their voice nationally and internationally. Table. Strategies, key result areas, and outcomes. Strategy 1.1. Continue to grow our membership and its diversity. Outcome. Our membership is growing and reflects the diversity of the disability community. Strategy 1.2. Maintain robust member and community consultation. Outcome. Our regular processes for member and community consultation ensure the voice of people with disability informs all PWDA position statements, policy and advocacy. Strategy 1.3. Reflect and represent the diverse voice of our community, nationally and internationally, in our work. Outcomes. A. The diverse experiences of people with disability drive our policy, advocacy, projects and other work. B. As the leading national cross-disability body, PWDA is asked by decision-makers, media and the community to comment on and participate in national and state-based policy processes and reforms. C. As the Australian Representative Organisation for Disability, PWDA is included in international policy processes and reforms. D. We continue to increase our representation on reference and advisory groups. Strategy 1.4. Develop new and maintain existing community partnerships that benefit people with disability. Outcome. Through formal and informal partnerships, we have increased our capacity to meaningfully represent a diverse group of people with disability in current and emerging issues/reforms/policy processes. End table. 2. Advocate. Advocate for the human rights of all people with disability at individual and systemic levels. Table. Individual and systemic advocacy and outcomes. Individual advocacy. 2.1. Expand our services, our reach, and our impact. Outcomes. A. People have increased access to PWDA individualized advocacy services regardless of location and/or diversity. B. PWDA's services, reach and impact have expanded, and we can show how each strategy worked. C. PWDA can identify links between its individual advocacy and people with disability facing fewer barriers to inclusion and experiencing equal human rights. Individual advocacy. 2.2. Deliver high-quality services in a consistent manner and use client feedback to improve service delivery. Outcomes. A. Our services are of high quality and delivered in a consistent manner that meets the expectations of clients and upholds their dignity and meets the expectations of funders. B. Member and client feedback has influenced improvements to service quality and delivery. We tell clients and members how their involvement has helped to improve PWDA services. C. Maintaining our strong ongoing relationships with the sector and service providers has helped PWDA to improve our overall services and service delivery. D. Continuous quality improvement processes are embedded into our individual advocacy services. Systemic advocacy. 2.3. Focus on amplifying the voice of people with disability in key policy areas at all levels, state, federal, and international. Outcome. PWDA's systemic advocacy influences key policy at all levels, including the Australian Disability Strategy 2021 to 2031, Disability Royal Commission and its recommendations, NDIS, other national, state and international policy as necessary and as they arise. Systemic advocacy. 2.4. Use PWDA's service delivery data and other research to build research-based policy positions and drive advocacy activities to raise awareness of issues facing people with disability, influence decision-makers, and increase government accountability. Outcomes. A. We can show how PWDA's research-based reporting has been used to inform and influence the social policy agenda. B. PWDA can identify links between its systemic advocacy and people with disability facing fewer barriers to inclusion and experiencing equal human rights. Systemic advocacy. 2.5. Work collaboratively with sector and key partners to build collective responses to key human rights issues at state, national and international levels. Outcome. PWDA plays a leading role in developing collective responses to key human rights issues at state, national and international levels through collaboration with sector and key partners. End table. 3. Educate. Drive positive change for people with disability through education and advocacy. Table. Educate and outcomes. Educate. 3.1. Proactively identify and respond to opportunities to educate and advocate for positive change. Outcomes. A. We have identified and responded to opportunities that have brought about positive change for people with disability. B. PWDA has developed and delivered high-quality, accessible programs, training, and ongoing capacity-building education to various audiences, including people with disability, government decision-makers, the disability sector, media, the broader community. C. People with disability are involved and playing a key role in PWDA's education to drive positive change for people with disability. D. PWDA is recognized as the leader in disability thinking, methods, models, and in the design and delivery of accessible disability education inclusive work practices. Educate. 3.2. Uphold the dignity of people with disability. Outcome. PWDA upholds the dignity of people with disability, responding to and challenging negative stereotypes of people with disability whenever they occur. Educate. 3.3. Actively engage with members, media, and the broader community to communicate PWDA services, programs, and key policy areas. Outcome. These groups have a solid understanding of PWDA's services and key policy priorities and positions. End table. 4. Sustain. Maintain a financially viable and sustainable organization. Table. Sustain and outcomes. Sustain. 4.1. Maintain robust and representative governance. Outcomes. A. PWDA Board is consistently at full strength and capacity and provides pathways for members to take up leadership positions within PWDA. B. PWDA has robust financial/budgetary planning, implementation, monitoring and risk processes to ensure sound financial management and accountability. C. PWDA demonstrates full compliance with quality standards and all other relevant regulatory and legislative requirements. D. PWDA meets all contractual requirements of funders. E. PWDA actively investigates ways to diversify our revenue stream, including actively applying for grant and philanthropic funding for activities which are in line with our values and goals. Sustain. 4.2. Develop and maintain a culture of continuous improvement across PWDA, guided by best practice in quality and safeguarding. Outcomes. A. PWDA uses a strong monitoring and evaluation framework to review organizational success, achievements, and opportunities for improvement. B. PWDA is recognized for its services that are safe, person-centered, and meet full compliance with all relevant standards. Sustain. 4.3. Follow best practice in employment and accessibility for people with disability. Outcomes. A. PWDA is recognized as an employer of choice for people with disability. B. PWDA can demonstrate its capacity as an accessible and inclusive workplace. C. Our systems and workflows are accessible and enhanced. Sustain. 4.4. Continue to establish and maintain strategic alliances and collaborative partnerships. Outcome. PWDA's positive and effective relationships with decision-makers and sector colleagues allow us to form/maintain alliances that support PWDA's vision, purpose, and strategic goals. End table. That concludes the PWDA Strategic Plan, 2022 to 2025. This production has been made possible by People with Disability Australia in the interests of information accessibility. This audio version has been produced by Vision Australia, website www.visionaustralia.org. Care has been taken in the recording of this publication, but Accessible Information Solutions of Vision Australia does not accept responsibility for the results of specific action taken on the basis of this recording, nor for any error or omission. This recording is copyright. No unauthorized copying, broadcasting, or public performance is permitted. Your narrator was Julie Horton. This concludes the recording.